Castle The Legend of Mont Saint-Michel, inspired by Guy de Maupassant. I first beheld it from Cancale, that ethereal fortress rising straight from the sea's surface. A faint silhouette, gray against the cloudy sky, appeared to me like a spectral shadow. Later, at sunset, I saw it again, this time from Avranches. The vast expanse of sand blazed crimson, the horizon, the bay, even the air seemed aflame. Only the sheer walls of the abbey, crowning the mountain's summit, remained nearly black, like a fantastical castle, a magical palace carved from night. At dawn the next day, I set out toward it, crossing the shifting sands, my gaze fixed on this grand jewel. Majestic as a mountain, delicate as a cameo, light as gauze. The closer I came, the more I was overcome with awe. Perhaps nothing in the world is more astonishing or more perfect. I wandered through halls where columns, slender or massive, held up the vaults, through galleries with lace-like walls, enchanted by the bell towers that pierced the sky, by the whimsical blend of turrets, gutters, and stone ornaments. A granite firework, a stony lacework, a masterpiece of architectural fantasy. While I was lost in wonder, a peasant from Lower Normandy caught up with me and shared an ancient tale, the great quarrel between Saint Michael and the devil. A clever skeptic once said, "God created man in his own image, and man returned the favor." A profound truth. It would be fascinating to compile a chronicle of each country's local deities, just as we do with the saints, reflections of the people's character. The idols of African tribes are bloodthirsty cannibals. The Muslim paradise is filled with wives. The Greeks, ever pragmatic, deified human passions. In France, every village is under the protection of a saint fashioned in the likeness of its inhabitants. Lower Normandy is guarded by Saint Michael, the radiant archangel, sword-bearer, celestial warrior, trampling Satan beneath his feet. But here is how a shrewd Norman peasant tells the tale of their struggle. To shield himself from the devil's malice, Saint Michael built his dwelling in the middle of the ocean, a sanctuary worthy of an archangel. Fearing attack, he surrounded it with treacherous quicksands, more deceitful than the sea itself. The devil lived in a wretched hut on the shore, yet he owned fertile meadows, flooded valleys, vineyards, and grain fields. Michael reigned over sand, poor as a beggar, while Satan was rich. After years of fasting, the saint grew weary of poverty and decided to strike a deal. But the devil was reluctant to part with his harvests. Michael pondered for 6 months, and one morning appeared before the devil. The latter sat at his door, slurping soup. Upon seeing the archangel, he rushed to greet him, kissed the hem of his robe, invited him in, and offered milk. "I've come with a profitable proposal," Michael began. "Agreed," replied the devil without hesitation. "You'll give me your lands. I'll take care of them, plowing, sowing, fertilizing, everything, and we'll split the harvest evenly." "Deal." Lazy by nature, the devil agreed. He only asked for a few red mullets, the fish caught near the mountain. Michael promised. They shook hands, spat to seal the pact. The deal was done. "To avoid any quarrels," said Michael, "choose tops or roots?" "Tops," exclaimed Satan. "Very well," nodded the saint and departed. 6 months later, the fields were planted with carrots, turnips, onions, garlic, all with delicious roots, while the leaves were fit only for cattle. Satan received nothing and fumed. Michael, now fond of farming, returned to the devil. "It's not my fault. That's just how it turned out. To make it up to you, this year you'll take the roots. Agreed, said the devil. In spring, the fields bloomed with wheat, oats, rapeseed, flax, clover, peas, cabbage, artichokes, all bearing fruit and grain. Once again, Satan was left with nothing, and this time he was truly enraged. The devil reclaimed his meadows and fields, turning a deaf ear to any new proposals from his neighbor. A full year passed. From the heights of his solitary fortress, Saint Michael gazed upon the distant fertile lands and saw the devil overseeing the laborers, gathering the harvest, threshing the grain. Consumed by helpless rage, the archangel could no longer bear it. Unable to outwit Satan again, he resolved to take revenge and invited him to dinner the following Monday. "I know," he said, "things haven't gone well between us, but I don't want enmity to linger. I hope you'll come dine with me. I'll serve you a feast of the finest dishes." Satan, as much a glutton as he was a sluggard, agreed at once. On the appointed day, he dressed in his finest garments and climbed the mountain. Saint Michael seated him at a lavishly set table. First came a pâté stuffed with rooster combs and kidneys, garnished with savory sausages. Then 2 enormous red mullets and sour cream, followed by a white turkey with chestnuts simmered in wine. Then a lamb, tender as a pastry. Then vegetables that melted on the tongue, and finally a steaming hot pie, fragrant with butter and spice. They drank pure, frothy cider, sweet and crisp, followed by robust red wine, and each course was chased with aged apple brandy. The devil ate and drank like a bottomless barrel, so much and so greedily that he became bloated and could no longer control himself. Then Saint Michael rose, his face stern, and thundered, In my presence, you scoundrel! You dare in my presence!" The devil, stunned, leapt up and fled. The archangel seized a heavy staff and gave chase. They raced down outer staircases, leapt across cornices, bounded from chimney to chimney. The wretched demon, feeling so ill he thought he might perish, fouled the saint's dwelling as he fled. At last, he reached the final terrace, the highest point, from which the vast bay could be seen, with its distant towns, sandbanks, and pastures. There was nowhere left to run. Saint Michael, catching up, delivered a mighty kick to his back, launching him like a ball into the air. He shot upward like a dart and crashed down near the town of Mortain. His horns and claws dug deep into the rock, which forever bears the marks of his fall. He rose, limping, and remained crippled ever after. From afar, he gazed at the fateful mountain, towering like a spire in the glow of the setting sun, and understood that he would always be defeated in this unequal struggle. Dragging his leg, he wandered off to distant lands, leaving his fields, hills, valleys, and meadows to his enemy. Thus did Saint Michael, patron of Normandy, triumph over the devil. Another people might have imagined this battle quite differently.